Oh man, I was so tardy on that. Trying to get all the things set up. How you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's been a hectic couple of weeks, but making it through. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. We got a little con tomorrow morning. We have a military toy fair con happening tomorrow. Ty the Dark Swordsman. Hello, Ty. Who art thou? Did you hear the news about Sacramento May 4th event being canceled? Yeah, Say Wong just mentioned it up here. And unfortunately for you guys, but fortunately for me, I'm actually happy about that.
How come?
Last year, we did really, really well at that event. It was our first time going to that event as vendors.
Mm-hmm.
It was called the world's largest lightsaber battle in Sacramento. And we did really well. In fact, that was the first event that Mezzo ever went out with as Kyber Cave crew. So she got to see not only the production side, but kind of like, the business side of how we do everything. And we ended up meeting a ton of people there last year. We had a great time. But the thing that I was lamenting was this year we got an invitation we couldn't turn down for May 4th. So we weren't going to get to go out to the Sacramento event. But this Saturday, we're going to be in the Cal Academy of Science, which is like, really huge museum here.
Yeah.
But what they do is on Thursday nights, they do adult nights at the museum. So they have like drinks and it'll be a different theme. And it's, 21 and over. And then, of course, because it falls on May 4th this year, Star Wars is their theme for that. So I don't know how they found us, but somebody in their organization got a hold of us and asked us if we'd come out and vendor for that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we are going to be Heretic is a new way of life, sadly. Are you talking about Heretic beer?
Hectic.
Oh, Hectic. Sorry. Heretic's a local beer. Cal Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. They calacademy.org, I think, is their website if you want to find out more information. But it's every Thursday night they do like an adult theme night. And then for May 4th, it happens to be Star Wars that night. So Kyber Cave will be in the house.
That's pretty good.
Say Wong says a few people were pissed. Several people took the day off from work for the lightsaber thing. Ooh.
Is that where I saw was it a free for all battle that I saw before they did for that?
Yeah. It was in the park. So they had like a DJ there. We were one of the few vendors there. They had some food vendors there, obviously, which was nice, but because we sell lightsabers, obviously that's like, hand in glove for May 4th.
Right.
So they invited us and we ended up doing really well. We did better at that event than we did at a lot of cons. But like I said, man, I don't know how to describe the Cal Academy of Arts and Science, like outside of California, but it was such a big honor for us that we were like, holy crap, how did they How did they even know we exist?
That's pretty cool. It maybe is it close to like we here in Chicago area have Museum of Science and Industry.
Right. Yeah. So imagine the state funded huge, beautiful museums. Some of them they try to make it interactive. They're really family oriented, but they're gorgeous museums, beautiful planetarium. It's exactly like that. That we'll be doing this event for. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, and speaking of which, I mean, I think today is Mezzo's 1 year here at Kyber Cave Productions.
I think it is her 1 year. Woohoo! Big campfire. You know what, Ty, as we get in and as we get more people on, I know what's her name? Captain was just here a minute ago.
Yes, they're having tech issues. I see. I have the chat pull up on the other screen here.
Okay.
So now
I'm pretty sure. Let's see. If you were to go over to Facebook, Kyber Cave, Facebook.com/Kyber Cave, I just put a posting out for it. It's called Nightlife, calacademy.org. Nightlife, and the title is Nightlife is the adult event. This particular event is called Feel the Force.
Oh, I see it. Let's see here. Let's see if I can't get the link put up for chat here.
Oh,
yes, found it. Putting it into the chat, and so people can get tickets. Maybe.
Julissa, is that how you say that? Julissa?
Okay.
Oh, I'm guessing that's Danny. I see Rivera. We're not giving away a saber tonight, Danny, but thank you for joining us.
That's the link to the Cal Academy.
Woohoo! Thank you kindly. So if you want to hang out with Kyber Cave on May 4th, we are going to be in San Francisco. I got to figure that one out because like the event starts at 6. San Francisco is technically an hour away, but that's right during traffic. So I'm like, man, I don't know if I need to take off like the last part of my work day to make sure I get out there in time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, San Francisco sounds about as close to you as Chicago is to me. Technically not that far away, but time-wise, because traffic is just a pain.
Right. When Forrest was coming into Cali, there's so many options. Like you go to Sacramento, Oakland, San Francisco, but we were telling him like, whenever possible, always go Sacramento, because going to San Francisco, even though technically, if you look at the map and everything, it's exactly the same distance.
Yeah,
it's not the same distance.
It's nice to see you guys measure distance by time, just like we do here.
But see, I always thought East Coast was I always thought East Coast people measured. Well, I guess you're not technically East Coast.
I'm late coast.
Yeah, because I was always told that West Coast people measured everything by time, and East Coast people measure everything by distance.
No, we're Lake Coast, so we measure by time. Just because, like I said, I'm literally 15 miles from Chicago.
Oh wow!
And you think that'd be that's 15 minutes,
right?
It's 45 minutes to an hour.
Wow. So I've been in Chicago once. I worked for a gentleman. In fact, he does all the lighting and sound for SAC Anime for the entire event. So he owns millions of dollars of equipment, and he goes all over the country doing staging for big preachers with a lot of money, or musicians, or people that have a lot of money for nice staging and lighting and everything. So I went out to Chicago for a week for a show that he did.
Oh, nice.
I actually got to go. This is how much of a nerd I am. I got to go to my Mecca, which was a bar called the Green Mile, or the Green Mile, the Green Room. I'm sorry, the Green Room. Green Mile was a movie. Sorry.
Yeah. Also, it's Green Room. But,
but that was the birthplace of slam poetry. That was the club where slam poetry first started, was in Chicago. So I had to go pay homage when I was out there.
I don't think I heard of that.
Ty the Dark Swordsman says, I'm just trying to show off my new Star Wars gear for my favorite merc in Jedi, Kyle Katarn.
Yes.
If you look on our websites, on our Facebook page, Kyle Katan is one of our newest sabers that our company is offering. Yep,
He's the speeder bike handle, right?
No, that's Coron Horn.
That's right, Coron Horn.
Kyle Katan was from Rebels. That was
okay.
What's his name's mentor? I don't know if you can see.
I can see it. Yeah.
There's a Mace Windu down below, and the one above it is the Kyle Katan. Okay. So that is one of our newest offerings from our company, TXQ.
Yeah, I never watched Rebels yet.
You know, I honestly haven't either. I know a lot about, you know, like the major events that happen, some of the major story beats that happened, but I've never sat down and just watched the series.
Oh yes, Jedi Knight and Jedi Academy games. Yeah, that's right.
It's from the
he means the EU
extended universe. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Am I wrong? I thought Kyle Katan was on Rebels.
Or is that Cal Kestis?
No, Cal Kestis is the new Jedi Survivor. Well, not new, the latest Jedi Survivor game.
Oh,
all right. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. Isn't Kyle Katan Ezra Bridger's mentor?
I'm looking. He was born 23 BBY. He first appeared in Dark Forces. His last appearance, he was in Fate of the Jedi. Yeah, he was in the extended universe.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether he was in Rebels, I have no idea. Canon is on Rebels.
Okay.
Interesting.
Kyle Katan was retcon. Oh.
That's a shame.
Oh. Interesting.
A lot of the EU was retconned, unfortunately.
Kanan. Oh, god damn it. Yes, they're right. Legit Jedi got me. I'm wrong. You got me, Legit Jedi. Kanan Jarrus is who I think I'm thinking about. Kanan Jarrus is from Rebels. Kyle Katan is a different character. So I'm going to have to look that up now. Damn it. God, I feel like an ass. Dude, that's the thing, dude. When you own a saber company, you better know your damn sabers, man, because these people will come after you. These people are vicious.
do you ever think you'll get a Corn Horn one?
I don't know. I can definitely put in a request for it. It's not a rare saber. The Dark Swordsman will see us at the yay.
Oh, sweet.
Coron Horn is a very popular saber in the saber community. A lot of different people make it, but there's no official version of it, so no two versions look exactly the same. But the basic idea is, and you know, that's why everybody tries to make it, is it's the handle of a speeder bike that he turns into a saber. So our company does not make it. I know one of the new ones that they have, one of the next ones that they have coming out that people have been asking for is Ezra Bridger's Saber Blaster. So that is one of the newer ones that we have coming out.
Interesting. Not knowing your characters in canon timelines.
I know. I'm so sorry. Yeah, please forgive me. I get him so confused. But it's so funny because like Steven, our shop manager, is not a Star Wars guy. He absolutely loves lightsabers. In fact, this motherfucker like literally carries his lightsaber everywhere when he goes to a restaurant. And I'm like, dude, at least take the 3-inch or the 3-foot blade off.
Oh, he has a blade on it too?
Yeah, he goes everywhere with a 3-foot blade, and you know, he uses it almost like a cane, right? But you would not believe the amount of business it has brought into the store. So many times I hear people, I was just talking to this random guy who was walking with a lightsaber. So I stopped and talked. I mean, so many people will just stop and ask him, dude, is that a lightsaber? How does that work? So it's a little, it's funny because we do what I call hip carry. We have hip sabers, which before Steven, we typically would wear a saber on our hip, but it never went to the point of carrying, especially a 3-foot blade with us everywhere we went.
Well, you'd use the short tester blade usually, right?
Well, yeah. So I've got literally a side blade that's like a 5-inch blade, which isn't long enough. We've got a 2-foot blade that's being shipped in. But what I need is like a 1-foot blade.
Yeah.
That's what I need. A 2-foot good blade is good for like Shoto sabers, like if you're doing an Ahsoka Katana cosplay.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I hope your next Thursday goes really well for you guys.
I wish you could be out here for a lot of this stuff, man.
I know.
It's such a bummer you don't live. Why don't you live closer?
I mean, that's fair, but your houses are stupidly priced out there.
Well, you know, that is true. That is, you know, I can't argue with that. You know what? I've been, and you know, none of this is going towards what our actual topic is tonight, but fuck it, I don't give a shit. It's not often I get to hang out with my boy Graveyard.
Other than the past 2 Sundays.
Oh, well, this is true. This is true, dude. You've been taking over everywhere, man. You're like the thing, dude. You're just morphing into all these other characters and taking over.
I've been a busy boy this past couple. So what's up?
So I was thinking back on, like, you know, when you came into the crew and how we met. I know I met you through Mezzo, but I don't know how you and Mezzo met. Like, was she listening to your podcast or something, or
no? New Rockstars.
Oh,
New Rockstars. So I've been following, and before really Tommy got really big on the show and everyone else, it was really still just Eric. I started watching New Rockstars then, and I started joining their chats back in, I think, about the time Mezzo started here, and been in their chats. They started doing the break room, so I was catching that live every day when my kids were at soccer practice or softball practice, listening in and joining chats, joining Discord. And I was looking for someone to help me with editing of videos and audio stuff, one for the podcast, one for the gaming channel I was working on at that point in time. And she invited me to her video editing server to try to get bids and try to find people and stuff like that. She's a mod for it, and I had issues with someone on the site, on the Discord server, who took money and didn't give me any product, essentially. So we started chatting through there, and I started talking about podcasts, and you just didn't have any experience with all that stuff. And then it was the first, or right before October hit, we just had started the podcast for a couple of weeks. She's like, "Hey, do you want to be on the show?" And then I've been here since.
Oh wow! So you had just started the podcast when we interviewed you the first time.
Yes, that was 40 episodes ago for us.
Wow! And you guys are doing one a week right now?
One a week. October we do
plus specials, right?
2 or 3 a week, yeah. Plus specials, yes. Because we did the April 1st one. I'll spoil it now. It's been almost a month. We talked about rom-coms.
Okay,
because they're terrifying.
I have not made it to those episodes yet.
No, just for an April Fool's gag, we were like, you know what? We're gonna watch Sleepless in Seattle. We watched The Notebook. Was it just those two? I don't remember. I wiped it from my mind because it's so bad.
So that's got me thinking, are there any romantic horror movies? Does that genre exist? It's got to exist, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The sea monster?
Yeah, the newer one. It was like a sea monster in the lab or something. And that lady found
The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Is that a horror movie?
It's a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is a love story as well.
Ah, see, there we go. Boom!
Also,
knocking it out over here.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Never Been Kissed is awesome. So someone says over here, kind of creepy now that I think about it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? We spent 20 minutes, talking about our stuff. I guess we could get into the topics at some point.
Let's do it. Yeah, I've been saying Captain and Mr. for some tech stuff on the side to try to get going.
Oh, and look at that. Talk about perfect timing. Woohoo! What is that, sexy boy?
Great, and now I can't get you guys. This fucking sucks.
No audio?
Now say something.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Oh, Toxic Avengers is the original love story. And Bride of Frankenstein. Okay. All right, legit. I need to hire a legit Jedi or something because he obviously has all the knowledge that I don't have. He or she has all the knowledge that I don't have. Anytime like my brain is just farting, I'll just refer over. How's your audio doing there, Force?
So we're using the phone because right now we can't get this to work.
Did
So
you
Susan
use the
is
link
trying to make it happen, and it's like a super pain in the ass.
Did you use the link I sent you?
I don't know if she clicked on it yet. We've been doing like he sent you a link in the chat.
Say wants to shout out to Ivan at the movie premiere of Adam Warlock. God damn you, Ivan. Is that Ivan Roca? That motherfucker's at like every goddamn movie review.
Wow.
Or every movie preview. That he used to work out. He used to work as my he was my Saber tech when we were in the mall. But this guy, dude, like I have never met personally in real life a more formidable costume maker. This guy used to sew his own costumes. When I met him, I think he had 12 different costumes. All of them were legit.
Okay.
He had like a clone commander with a huge Gatling gun that actually moved and had lighting. He would wire his own electronics and all the suits. He had the dopest Spider-Man noir. Oh my god!
Ooh.
I remember him hand sewing the mask for his Spider-Man noir. So yeah, shout out to Ivan. I would love to get Ivan. I've been trying to interview Ivan on our show, but he's too busy going to premieres and shit.
I just want to go to horror movie premieres. That's all I want.
Is it asking too much?
I don't think it is.
All right, so we have two topics, but only one header here. I guess Mez forgot to put up the second header.
I see one.
I see one.
Yep, because I ordered the ones below it myself. So yeah.
SW? No, that's stickers.
No, after the conspiracy, I put mine at the bottom, so it's the bottom of the list. Yep, I only see one in there.
Yeah, I only see one. That's all right. We'll start with that one, and then we'll just call out the other one.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, we're going to start with catfishing, not to be confused with catfisting. Those are two completely different hobbies.
That got weird quick.
Was that Force? Was that the only thing you heard was catfisting?
Yeah.
What a place to come in.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, catfishing, not to be confused with catfisting. What do you guys know about it? I know that there's I've been watching on YouTube. There's a what's a channel called? It's not like catfishing. It's like cat scamming or something like that.
Well, MTV had a show for many, many years about catfishing.
That's true.
Now, granted, I'm an old man who met my wife in high school, so I never had to worry about catfishing.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that point of view. I mean, I can tell you my thoughts of it is that is it misleading? Yeah, but I could also argue that every time you go on a first date with someone is you also catfish because you don't show your true self.
Right. Well,
it takes a very long time to get there.
I think the bigger thing with the catfishing is not just that, what you may or may not say about yourself, but you're actually putting out pictures saying that you're a different person than you actually are.
Yeah, that's the world, unfortunately, we live in. But I mean, I think catfishing was always been there before technology too, though. That you always had the pen pals or love letters for people you never met, you write across.
Right.
And tie this back into the April 1st podcast we did, Sleepless in Seattle. Meg Ryan falls in love with the guy's voice on the radio, has no idea what he looks like, doesn't even care, and goes across the country. That's not catfishing because he's not purposely lying.
Right.
Well, in person you can still get feedback, yes, but I mean, I think it's more to legit Jedi's point of view is that in today's world that you can just clip pictures that you can fit and have all these stupid filters and all these apps that you are never showing your true self. And
Right.
I think that's the same way whether you're purposely catfishing or not. Is everyone takes 100 pictures to get that point of view, that angle perfectly for their profile pictures or pictures
Right.
presented to people, or the lighting or all that stuff. I look
Always
at you, Mr. Forrest.
Guilty. I'm sorry.
But that's
The
still,
camera adds 10 pounds to my face.
but I mean, you're still, it's not purposely catfishing, but you're still not showing your true self. And I think sometimes because of that, people might misconstrue that as catfishing because it's not the right angle. You don't see it in the right light. It's the Two-Face episode of Seinfeld where the woman looked completely different, one in light and one in the dark.
Right. But
Yeah.
to that note, then I mean, couldn't you say that except for candid photography, everything is catfishing? Right? I mean, anytime we set up a photo, we're gonna make it look the best we can of ourselves. We don't want to look bad in photos.
Yeah, I mean, it's, Van, you're single, right?
Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
Well, I'm just saying, because Forrest and I are both married.
Right.
I want to hear Aubrey's point of view, is because we're not in the dating scene, so
Right.
we might not have we don't have to worry about this.
Right.
So,
Right.
Is this something that you worry about if you're looking for a date or?
So okay, so you know what? I will say that the closest that I have been involved in, I guess, catfishing, although that's not what it was. It was just, I guess, the closest that I could be.
Mhm.
I did meet a woman through Kyber Cave. She was messaging. In fact, she was a fan. Her and her son used to watch Saber Rattle. They were in South Carolina, and she was watching Saber Rattle, and then she messaged me to inquire about lightsabers.
Mhm.
And then somehow conversation just started shifting, and it started turning personal, which people who know me, especially people that know me well, know that I don't talk about personal things, particularly not with strangers online. I don't tell them about my personal items or, my family life or anything like that. So we started talking for several days, and I legit fell in love with this chick. After 6 months, my son and I flew out to South Carolina to go visit her and her son. And it was cool. It just wasn't like, I don't know, the infatuation that we seem to have through texting and video messaging every day.
Mhm.
Just I don't know if it was the timing or what it was, but it just wasn't there in person.
So you learn some new things.
Yeah, no, totally. I didn't see it as a bad thing at all. And to be honest with you, that was my first experience dating in I don't know, 10, 11 years since I had stopped being with my son's mother.
Mhm.
Because after we broke up, he was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And then at that point, my whole focus became on career and my child. And I literally didn't think about women or any of that stuff. That was all before I had a child. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was almost like a switch that turned off in my head. But when I used to be single and out in dating and stuff like that, when I used to do spoken word poetry and have, it was more about me than, I was dating other people. But once I had my son, it was almost like a switch turned off in my head. And it just became about taking care of this little boy.
Now, does catfishing concern you if you go back into the market and things like that? Do you think it's becoming a more rampant problem, or we're seeing it becoming more common?
Yeah, it's weird. I watch these shows on YouTube and stuff, and there's constantly this person got $100,000 from me, but I love them and I know they're real. And their families are trying to prove to them that these people are fake, and they're showing the fake. I just don't get it. This is gonna sound weird. I don't think I'm human being enough to be that emotionally attached to people. It's very easily for me to emotionally detach from people. If I'm in a bad situation, I'm out of there. You know what I mean? There's nothing but we've invested so much, and they're like, nope, this is fucked. I'm out.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see where it could be a problem, and that you could easily become infatuated with the person, the words, the ideas, if you're not, kind of meeting the person. Because if my wife and I discussed, like, if we were ever to, one of us was to die, or we got divorced, whatever it was, we couldn't go back into the dating scene. We never had the dating scene. We never went through any of it, like, period, in our adult lives.
Yeah, because you guys went from high school sweethearts, right?
Yeah. So I can't imagine what that is. I mean, because you're falling in love with the idea of who you think someone is,
right?
And that, I'm a very guarded person too, and I would really, in the back of my head, always think something was up.
Right.
Just how I am.
Right. Now, in my personal case, she never asked me for money. She never, it was all about, and at the time it was during COVID too. This was during 2020. So we were in a place where we couldn't just visit. We had to wait, for quarantine and everything. So we had more, and we literally talked for 6 months before my son and I went out there to have a visit. And at that point, we were literally talking like 6 to 10 hours a day, texting or video messaging or whatever. So I felt good, because we had done video messages almost every day. And, I didn't feel like I was being set up by, some other person. I knew exactly who I was going to see. But yeah, I just find it very strange how people, because like I remember watching this one where this guy, like, he had sent like up to $200,000, and it was affecting his family and his sons, and he wasn't married or anything like that, but even when presented with the truth, like they got an investigation team and they did a reverse look on the picture or whatever, and saw that it was a different fashion model. Even when faced with the truth, this guy was like, I don't care, just let me live my life, let me be happy. And they're like, dude, you're sending your money to a man in Nigeria. This is not the woman that you think, you're in love with. But he just refused to accept it.
As long as he's not my Nigerian prince.
Yes, what's up, Nez? We had mentioned that. Graveyard mentioned that earlier. Mm-hmm. Happy 1 year.
Yes, 1 year for Mezzo.
1 year without me driving you completely crazy.
So I mean, Forrest, you're married just like I am. How do you feel about this if you had to get back in the dating scene for some unforeseen circumstance?
I'm gonna point blank this for you. I'm gonna make it really simple. I'm never gonna like date. I'm probably never gonna like casually, generally date ever again. Like if I ever get into it again, it's going to start with a foundation of friendship. It's going to be a friend. It's going to be a friend. And if it develops into something more, like if it develops into like real affection, the friendship doesn't change. It's got to, I mean, it's got to be it. I mean, it's got to be the one. I mean, I mean, I've been saying that for a long time now. If I ever had to do it again, it would have to have the strongest foundation. I would have to be sure that I'm sure that I'm sure. And it would have to have the beginnings with a friendship. I mean, that's that. I'm not just going to go out and meet people. Right. I'm straight up not. I'll make friends. I'll go out and make friends, but there has to be a level of trust before there could be a level of commitment. There has to be a building. There's got to be baby steps. And you know what? At this point in my life, I'm actually willing for true love. I'm willing to take those baby steps again. I'm willing to do those things. This is what it is with me.
Now, do you think it's a product of the generation that we grew up with, because we didn't have this digital way of meeting people when we were, say, starting to date?
It's a product of every generation, and it's a product of the way people are. It's a product of their upbringing. It's a product of their culture. It's excuse me. In some cases, it could be a product of their faith upbringing. I mean, it just depends upon who you are, where you're from, what your upbringing is. what you're surrounded with, what your habits are. There are just so many variables now, but for me and mine, I've made my choice. I know exactly how I'd do it again. The honorable way, the respectable way, the friendship way, the trust building way.
Well, okay, yes, and I agree with that, but don't you think that's a little bit like, it's easy to say sitting there when that's not like knocking on your door, but let's say, I don't know, let's say you get a regular fan in your who comes to watch your your Thursday streams,
Mhm.
and they're constantly coming in every week commenting and, oh, you look so handsome tonight.
Uh-huh.
Don't you think you could spark up a relationship of some sort? I'm not saying dating, but wouldn't you start talking to that person, and couldn't that potentially evolve into something?
Potentially, absolutely. Yes, it could. Anything is possible, but it's got to start with a friendship, and it's got to start with an understanding,
Right.
and
Are
it's
you
got to be,
open
and
to
it has to be
online dating?
mutual.
Are you open to online dating?
Me,
Yeah.
at this moment in time, I've never really considered it, ever.
No, sorry, I do realize you're married as well. I'm not trying to break up a family or anything like
No, it's not even so much that, dude, because
that.
online dating was a thing back before I met my wife. It was, I wasn't, I didn't get married at the dawn of the internet. Jeez, I'm crow. I'm younger than that. No, dating sites, all that stuff, that was a thing. But I've always been the type of person. It's kind of like, it's like my mother. My mother always enjoyed company. She did. She just enjoyed the presence of people. She was never much of a phone person. She never got into computers. She enjoyed visiting with people in person, like in the back carport, having people over, going out to dinners or for drinks or whatever. And she was just she was social. She and my dad, they'd go and they talk to people and meet people, and friendships formed, and that's just the kind of, that's what I was brought up on. I was taught, get to know people and establish good, strong relationships first.
Right.
Get to know somebody, respect them, have them respect you. Give these things time. The problem nowadays is that nobody wants to give anything any time. And time is an investment. Time is the most important commodity we have. And when you invest it, there's a huge potential for loss. But one of the most important things to receive as a person is somebody's time and attention. And if that builds on a foundation of trust and belief and just I would dare say a camaraderie. Yeah, dude, that's so important.
Right.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Right. I like this comment Legit Jedi said. He said, you can also be craving love so bad and love an idea so much that you can't believe a lie.
I can understand that, because if you are, as he said, you are craving love, that you put blinders on, unfortunately.
Right.
And I think it's, regardless if it's online dating or in-person dating, that you're going to have blinders on when you first meet someone. And this is why I think good friends are important, because your friend will tell you, dude, stay away from her.
Right.
That you can hopefully have someone like that in your life that will be completely honest with you. I have friends like that. I'll do that for my friends if they ask me straight out, like, hey, why don't you go ahead and, like, have you really thought about this?
Right.
For one of my friends who got his first marriage not a couple years, like a decade ago, he had broken up with her. And he's like, dude, am I making the right choice? I go, if you love her, then yes. If you don't, then don't do it. Don't go through with it. I'm not telling you yes or no. I'm just telling you, don't do it because you think it's something you have to do. Do it for the right reasons.
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
That's tough with friends. I remember many years ago, I had a dear friend that I grew up with. In fact, his mother and my mother were best friends before we were born, so we were forced to be best friends. We were like 6 months apart, both boys, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
mom was always at my mom's house every weekend, or vice versa. But I remember when he went off to the Air Force, and he met this random chick, and they were, he came back and told us he met this chick, and they find out she was pregnant, and now they're getting married. And I remember, like, there was 3 other boys in my crew, and everybody was like, "Oh, congratulations, blah blah blah." And I was the only one that was like, "Bro, you don't have to get married, right? Just because she's pregnant or whatever." I was like, "You literally just met this chick like 4 and 5 months ago, and it might behoove you to slow down just a little bit and learn a little more about this woman, just because she's having your baby." Come to find out 4 years later that the child wasn't even his.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I ended up losing. Like, I was the dick of the group. I was like the outcast because my other friends were like, "Dude, why are you being an asshole? Why can't you just be happy for our boy?" You know what I mean? I was like, I feel like I'm the only one looking out for him. You know what I mean? Everybody else is just like, they've never met this chick. They don't know anything about her. They know he's happy because of her. And yes, I mean, I do applaud and commend that. That's what you want for your boy, right? But nobody knows shit about this woman. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm the only one looking out for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately the world we live in. I think it's just become easier and easier to be able to catfish, quite honestly.
Right.
But
And that's a shame.
Right.
But reverse that, though, it's also becoming easier and easier to paste a photograph into Google, and it'll tell you where it came from.
Right.
So you can, if it's a
the power of the OPP.
I mean, I think if you really wanted to investigate, you can find so much more about people nowadays than you could 10 years ago. So, like I said, I think catfishing has gotten easier, but it's also been easier to catch it too,
Right.
because of the tools and the AI that exists out there. You can scour their profile, you can scour their Facebook. I can find people online and find out a whole bunch of stuff about them.
Right.
So it's now it's become a horror movie trope where you're like, "Oh, did you Google me?" Or I'm sure it's in rom-coms. Once I don't watch those, but I still think it's a have you researched me? Or you have a friend who's a cop or works at the DMV or BMV that they still do that stuff. So
right.
I don't know. I think I think once again it's double-edged sword. Technology it's used for good, it's used for bad, it's used to hurt, it's used to love. I mean, technology is not inherently bad or evil. It's the people that use it.
Right. The other thing that I wonder about is, like, when people catch on to scams, like, why do people still? I mean, I guess it still works if people still do it. Like, I was thinking about, you were talking about the Nigerian prince thing. You know what I mean? And that's such a scam that it's now a joke that people understand. But it's those emails. I still get those emails. Like, obviously, it must work on somebody.
It is
Somebody's falling for that scam.
It is the new snake oil salesman. It's always been there. People have always been scammable, and it's always going to happen. If it didn't work, they wouldn't do it.
Right.
100%. But they get people to do it. So that's just, unfortunately, that's the way it is. And as Legit says, people want to be optimistic. People want to see the good in the human world.
Yeah.
I watch horror movies. I don't see the good in the human world. I watch a lot of bad crap that goes down, and you want to believe in humanity, but not to get too political, but do we remember 2016 to 2020 in this country?
Right.
We really saw the worst of people, I really believe, in the past couple of years.
Right. Yeah, things have definitely gone downhill, just in general. Hey, Thomas, what's up, yo?
Thomas.
It's good to see you in here. You mean my uncle didn't die and leave me $60 million? If he's in Nigeria, I might, have a little bit of doubt about that money.
He did, but you have to say the night in a haunted house.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's every plot of every Scooby-Doo episode, isn't it?
Has anybody here ever been and online ever been catfished? Or, I mean, I know I've had scam attacks, you know what I mean? And I don't know. It's always obvious to me when like some random hottie just starts messaging you out of the blue and like asking about you stuff. And I usually what I'll try to do is I'll just start answering things that are just completely fucking crazy, just to see if it's like a real person or somebody that at least speaks English.
Bot.
A bot, right? Exactly.
Well, that's my first red flag. If a hottie's coming to talk to me, immediate red flag. I'm like,
I don't know what that says about our personal self-esteem.
Someone's waving at me. Someone behind me? What?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of the same way. I was like, dude, you definitely don't look like the type of chick that's coming here for a lightsaber, or at least not the type of lightsaber I have.
You hope they are.
Right.
No, Tom was saying that he was catfishing the army, and I thought, ooh.
eHarmony's supposed to be the one for like when you're trying to get married too, right? Like that's supposed to be the serious one, isn't it?
I mean,
See, and that's kind of the point I was trying to make. It takes more courage to approach a person in person than it is to reach out online with a message. You see somebody who you think is attractive, you think you're going to connect with them, but you still have to build the courage to walk up and introduce yourself. That says something for your character.
Right.
That's why, like I said, if I'm ever going to do it again, it's got to be a personable thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Period.
Oh, I see the captain trying to get in.
Yeah,
I remember I was talking to a mentor and they were telling me he was saying you know what the definition of fear is, right? And I was like, no. And he said fantasy expectations are realized, meaning you see a pretty girl at the end of the bar or something like that, and you put a fantasy expectation in your own head that she's out of your league. Well, when you start doing that, she then starts becoming out of your league because you slowly started making this a reality for yourself.
Well, it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy at that point in time.
Right.
It really does. Game that's a 90s term. Yeah. Never had game, never will.
Metzo back here says, in junior high, I was lonely. I started receiving notes in my locker and roses, etc. It turned out it was a friend of mine. She just felt bad and wanted to make me feel better. When I found out, I felt worse than if I had never received anything.
Oh, Metzo.
I'm sorry, Mets. I didn't even have friends that were nice enough to do that shit for me. I was like, whoa, your misery, asshole.
I was severely allergic to flowers. I'm like, someone's trying to kill me.
Hey, somebody went to homecoming with me out of pity.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to switch there with Mrs. Forrest there? I'm sure she has ideas on catfishing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right now, he's trying to figure the StreamYard stuff out because the Chrome keeps blocking the access to the camera and the mic.
Use a different browser.
I did that.
So then something else.
I did the same exact thing. I just reset all of my. I also just reset all of my settings on there.
Okay. Then I would just verify that nothing other programs started that's trying to use your camera at the same time.
Don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's where we are.
Yeah. Now, Force.
Yes.
I gotta ask. You ready?
Go for it.
Do you feel the people's expectations when you came to California, you're afraid that they were not going to think you were who you were online? Do you consider that a form of catfishing or the idea of it?
I've been afraid of that for 6 months.
Wait. Can you say that again? I don't think I understand the question. Are you saying that he might be afraid that people wouldn't like who he was because he was different than online?
Well, I'll let Forrest speak to this, but I mean, it's I can imagine it's a big concern going out there. Yes, we know all each other online and through messages and stuff like that, but meeting people in person,
right?
I like I said, I'd like Forrest to speak on that because I know I'd be terrified I'm going to be terrified when I do it. Hopefully next year, So
what was your experience like, Forrest, or what are your thoughts on that?
I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I was worried about the things you guys told me not to worry about. And when I met every one of you were loving, you were kind, you were accepting, you were amazing, and you've been amazing. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just like, I don't know if I'm shallow or maybe I just don't think things through enough. But like, a lot of the concerns that you were having, and I was even telling you, before you got here, but I think for me, I wouldn't even have thought of them. You know what I mean? Like the things that you were so like freaking out about. Like if I came out there and we just don't get along, I'd be just like, hey, we're better as work friends. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't. I don't know. I guess for me, I'm a very que sera kind of person. Either things work or they don't work, but I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Yeah.
I put the work in. I'm the type of person who puts the work in. When I become good friends with folks and I respect them and they're special to me. I cherish all of y'all. That's why I put the work in. That's why I wanted to, show that I'm the very same person you see on camera in person. And I didn't disappoint, did I?
Right.
I was there. I can't speak. No, so okay, let me pivot gears here for us. As your daughter's getting older as a father.
Oh, here we go.
Does the idea of catfishing concern you?
Yeah. In the biggest way. And it freaks me the freak out. And I'm really hoping that she's getting all the messages, of warning, stuff that my dad tells her, stuff that, my wife and I tell her, stuff that her grandparents tell her, and she and her school friends, they face this stuff on the regular. I mean, we've had to go in and help her with like privacy settings on her apps so that, if somebody doesn't know her, they can't reach her.
Right.
Only friends can reach you, not friends of friends, no random dude from, 7,000 miles away can just reach out and be like, hey baby, how you doing? No, ain't playing that game. A lot of that has to do with privacy settings. And we explained to her, this is why the privacy settings are what they are, because we don't want some random dude trying to reach out to you and make promises to you that, they can't keep. Because you're young and impressionable. You're brand new to the world. You're not even out in the world yet. I mean, and you've got freaking scumbags all over the place.
Is your attitude any different for your daughter than your son?
Yes, a little bit. Because, and this is just I'm just speaking for my own home. I can't speak to anybody else's kids. My son is incredibly picky choosy. And he's a lot like me in the fact that he doesn't like to utilize things like social media for relations. He likes being able to hang out with people in person. He appreciates people's courage to introduce themselves to him. He just enjoys he enjoys being in the company of people. He thrives in it. He does very, very well. So I have less concern for him being duped, because and if he's watching, he'll probably nod his head when I say this. I'm sure he's watching right now. He's not a stupid boy, and he has a very large amount of hatred for the world's stupidity. He just does. He watches friends at school either do these idiotic things or get duped by these idiotic things. He just sits back and he shakes his head and he's like, dude, why can't you just be a good person? And that's who he is.
Now, I can say from my standpoint, my daughters are a couple years younger than yours, Forrest. Mm-hmm. And I went. My school had a fun fair last Friday that I did before the show last week, and it's really weird because I'm thinking about it. I was talking with my dad. I was always interested in girls. Never had cooties. I was never afraid of them or anything like that growing up. And my youngest daughter, a boy reached. He's like, "Hey, are you? My daughter's her dad?" I go, "Yeah." He's like, want to shake my hand. She's 10.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, all right, this is I don't think I was prepared for this. I guess I gotta get myself a shotgun and clean it. But I can tell you right now, if as my daughters and kids get older, that if something like this was to happen on social media, they don't have the ability to do social media right now because they have school tablets only. I don't allow that right now. Is if I see something like that, I have the technology knowledge to find out everything about that person.
Right.
You know,
Graveyard, I would like to hire your service.
I would be scared to be your kids, dude.
I proved this to my parents. Didn't believe me because they don't believe I have this knowledge. That through my sister's social media, I found out everything about my parents without typing their name in whatsoever.
I'm sorry.
So I think I'm going to be one of those concerned dads that, you know, is not hopefully all dads are concerned like that, but especially with my daughters, that I don't want bad stuff to happen. Bad stuff's going to happen regardless of no matter what you do. Kids are going to make stupid decisions.
Life choices. That's life.
Absolutely. But you know, I hope I can impart my knowledge and skepticism a little bit to them, not to scare them away from human interaction and stuff like that, but to be wary and understand that technology is capable of being fooled, that it is capable of being used to harm or trick or deceit.
Right.
And you know, that's my goal as a father, is to teach them that, just to help understand and navigate the digital world and become a part of it safely.
Okay, so I have to say, because I've heard both of you guys make this comment, and it made me cringe a little bit, but I wasn't sure where it was coming from inside myself. Like if it was the preschool teacher or the father of a boy. But I've heard both of you say, especially my daughters.
Yes.
And, you know, like that stuck out in my head because, you know, especially being a preschool teacher, there's a lot of things that I think, you know, people say, you know, teach your daughters this or teach your sons this, but I kind of feel like it's not just one group that needs to be taught. It's both groups. Both groups need to respect not doing it to each other and not accepting it from each other as well. Is there a reason for you guys? And it could just be the personality types of your individual daughters, right? Like when I look at my son, you know, not to put him over other kids, but I can leave my 14-year-old son home alone and not be worried that I'm going to come back to the house on fire. You can't do that with every 14-year-old. You know what I mean? No. Not to say that my child is better than a different one. I just know what I feel like he is capable of doing or what he can handle by himself without me worrying about him hurting himself or endangering other people. So in those, I just didn't know in both of your cases, when you said especially my daughters, if it just came from a general, almost old school parenting where fathers feel like they have to protect their daughters more, or if it was the individual personality types of your particular daughters that maybe they're more influenced by people than, say, their friends might be.
I'll go first on this. I'm gonna say this right now. Men suck a lot more. Right. So it's two different lessons, right? One is to teach my son not to be the douchebag that is doing this stuff, and then to teach the daughters to be worried for other people that didn't teach their kids not to be douchebags,
not to tolerate putting up with shit.
So it's two sides of the same problem, right? So it's, you know, that's how I view it. Is, you know, it's the boys will be boys argument is so stupid and so outdated that it shouldn't be that. But we also shouldn't have to teach our daughters to be afraid of it either. And you need to tackle it from both sides. The problem's not going to go away, I don't think, ever, but you can make him more cognitive of stuff like that. So hopefully teaching your son to do these things, that he will step in and stop his friends from doing stupid stuff like this too. Right. And it's just kind of the idea of a ripple effect of the change that you want to see. So and also my son's the youngest, so I'm not really concerned about that right now with that lesson. So,
but you're not worried about because I would almost say that I would almost fear that boys are more vulnerable than girls, and let me explain why I say this. Chris Rock, I'm gonna totally fuck up his jokes and everything. I'm not a comedian, but Chris Rock had the basic point that a woman every day of her life since the age of 12 has been offered dick. In like every, you know, can I help you with those bags? How about some dick? Can I open the door? Would you like some dick? You know what I mean? Like, so a woman is so constantly bombarded by men that, you know, want to have sex with them that it now becomes almost a position of power, right? Like it happens so often that they understand they have to do this and that's what that is, right? For a man, it may be opposite in that, you know, maybe he's not getting a ton of phone calls from, you know, the hot chicks or whatever. So when one messages him, he might be more vulnerable to being attacked because he's not used to that. Whereas a woman is used to being, you know, hit on all the time. Am I wrong or?
I don't think you're wrong, but I also think we, especially our group and our nerddom, is that how do I say this? Our type of interests and personalities may lead us to get more catfish more easily because we want that nerdy girl, right? We want someone that has the same interest in us, and I think it's part of the nerddom that we, at least I, have such low self-esteem. I would never expect anyone to be, I don't want to say the perfect person for me. I already found that.
Graveyard, you're the perfect person for me.
But you know what I mean? Like, I can honestly say, yeah, in high school, if a girl pretended to show interest in me, would I have fallen for it? Probably, without a doubt, because that didn't really happen for me. So, you know, yeah, I could have easily been duped by catfishing,
right?
Without a doubt. You know, I started as a teenager with AOL Instant Messenger. There was chat rooms.
Welcome.
You've got mail genitalia.
And Van, even though it probably doesn't need to be said, I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I am not concerned, although depending upon the day and time we live in, I don't know. But I'm not concerned with my son being out. My son, he's 17. I am not concerned with a 34-year-old woman cornering my son, trying to dupe him or force herself upon him. I am worried about my younger daughter being out and a 34, 35-year-old dude freaking huge and trying to force himself upon my daughter.
But let me ask you a
that
question.
I'm concerned with.
If you're not concerned about that, is it because of the personality of your particular children, or is it just because you don't think it'll happen to a boy?
So are you asking me to speak from my own experience with my own children here or in general?
Well, no. Like, do you have less concern about this happening to your son because maybe you feel like the personality type of your son wouldn't be as easily drawn in as, say, the personality type of your daughter? Or are you saying it's because it's a male and female thing? Like you're more concerned?
I'm not answering based upon drawing of any kind. What I'm telling you is it's a matter of overpowering and influential speech. Again, let's go back to the boy, for example. I'm not concerned for him being duped or forced upon by a 34-year-old woman. My
question is how come?
Why?
Well, like, is he an ugly kid?
One. Well, if he doesn't freaking start, brushing his hair.
I mean,
number one, he knows better. Okay, number one, he knows better because that's an older woman, and I know he does. He's like, that's not where his mind is. Number two, he's not the type to really. Nobody's going to put their hands on him and try to influence him to do anything. Like, you're not going to see You're not going to see some lady come up to, okay, let's say he gets his driver's license and he's out and he runs to Target, right? And he goes to pick up something for the wife. I'm not going to see this. I don't see him falling for this 34-year-old woman coming up to him, taking him by the arm and say, hey, baby, come with me. Come on this way. Let me show you something good. I don't see him. He's not going to get drug off by this woman.
But you think your daughter would?
Leia, on the other hand, if a large, very strong dude came up to her and put his hands on her, yeah, that'd be a little bit more of a struggle for her.
Have you thought about like self-defense classes for her? Or?
My daughter is armed.
Yeah.
I took care of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's good. If
but
obviously,
but let me make sure we're not misunderstanding each other here. What we're talking about is likelihoods. We're talking about possibilities. And I'm not saying smooth talking. I'm talking about physical contact and forcing.
Okay.
A middle-aged woman cannot probably, okay, I'm not going to say cannot. The likelihood of a middle-aged woman forcing herself sexually upon my teenage son is way, way less likely to happen than a man, a grown freaking perv, trying to force himself upon my teenage daughter. Does that make more sense?
I know. I totally agree. We totally talked about how, girls have been offered dick since the age of 12, whereas guys have to actively go hunt for our sex at a younger age. So yeah, no, I totally get it.
I'm sorry, dude, that didn't sit right the way you said that.
Yeah, I was trying to think
that didn't sit right with me.
I had to find it. I didn't think that through well.
It's okay.
The point of the matter is that girls, it's constantly around them. It's constantly, they are aware of the fact that men are trying to sleep with them constantly. Guys aren't, most men don't sit on the couch worried that every chick is trying to sleep with them. But the reason I ask is because we do live in this day and age where, like, when I was growing up, I never heard about like hot teachers hitting on 16-year-old kids and 14-year-old kids and having kids with them. But shit, how many of those stories?
Right, because they weren't reported. A lot of the students that were affected back then never even bothered to come forward because they were victimized, especially the teenage girls. They're like, oh, Coach Wilson came on to me and I didn't know how I felt and this and that and the other, and I didn't want to get in trouble. How many times I have heard that story in Florida? Like when I was a teenager, like I would be, told through the grapevine of instructors hitting upon these students, especially on the college level.
Right.
And how often did you see that in the news back in the late 90s? You didn't. It was few and far between because a lot of these things go unreported, and it's wrong. It's damn wrong.
Right.
That's why it's better that we have all this awareness now, but it's not going to stop the pervs because now they have all the apps and all the everything to, get themselves out there. I mean, it's,
right.
Every time we come up with one preventative method, they every shield we come up with, they come up with another sword. It freaking sucks.
Yeah, well, and then these filters aren't fucking helping anything at all either.
Oh, dude, and that's where, and that goes back to my original point when I came in, when I said, you've got to, when you get to meet a person in person and really appreciate who they are, that's where you build your foundation of trust and respect and friendship. If it doesn't start there, you're not. I mean, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, and if it does work, you're damn lucky.
Right.
So I just to kind of loop this back. I mean, we know catfishing is real. We know catfishing exists. Do you think there's any way we can combat it other than the way we're discussing that? We teach, our kids, both sides, what to look for and how to look for the red flags. I mean, do you see this with the digital age becoming worse as we go, or do you think it'll eventually get better at some point?
I see it becoming worse because with every generation, the change in technology, it's ridiculous because, as middle-aged folks become elderly folks and the times change with digital stuff, you'll find that a lot of elderly people are prone to fall for a few things. Now, because we are moving ahead in time, we're moving into a time where the you know, the retirement age is now in the 2020s and not in the 2002s, it's far less likely for people to be scammed. You know what I mean? It's like we don't live in a day and age where a disk drive is mistaken as a cup holder. Sorry, that's not a thing anymore.
My sister.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it happens to the young and it happens to the elderly, unfortunately, because a lot of times the elderly like what works for them and they don't want to change with the times. I personally, being a middle-aged dude myself, I like wired. I don't like wireless things. I like wired things. It brings me security, makes me feel safe, and I like the speed of a wire as opposed to being wireless. That's just who I am. I'm probably not going to change. Same thing with younger folks. When you bring in young people who don't know how to use their phones, who don't know how to check the privacy settings on their apps, who start getting hit by the Nigerian prince, and nobody warns them about it because there's these parents are giving these kids phones at age 7. Yes, we're going to continue to have problems because it's always going to be the elderly and the young who are preyed upon. I mean, and how heartbreaking is it that to try to explain to a 6-year-old, now, sweetie, this person from the Middle East is going to try to do naughty things to you. Like, you don't want to have to explain that to a child. You want them to be a child, and you want them to be a kid, your kid, for as long as they can be a kid. You don't want their innocence destroyed at 6. And that's what's happening. And it freaking blows, man.
So you're in agreement. I mean, let me sit quick here. I love wired at my house. I love wireless out in the public. I think education is the only path forward we have to prevent this.
Yes.
It is. As being in the IT world, we say this all the time. I say it a lot. It's not a technology issue. It's a people issue.
Right.
Every time.
I was thinking about this because I'm going to be honest with you. I got, let's see, what month are we in? Right around January, I recently got scammed by somebody online. Now, it was only for $60.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Yeah, you know what? It was one of those things that even while it was happening, I was like, God, I wonder if I'm getting scammed here. But what I realized after, and talking to you guys now, talking about, the Nigerian prince and all these other people, is it's always attacked through emotion. It's never attacked logically. They always try to find some emotional connection with you. And then it is through that emotional connection that the scam occurs, or, they try to get money from you.
So do you think that it has to do with that it's mostly that they're trying to scam women than they are men?
Catfishing, I think, is probably pretty equal.
Yeah, I do too.
You think catfishing
I'm asking the question just because of how the misconception that, the whole thing is they're trying to appeal to emotion, not to logic, which is it's a fallacy anyway, but most people think that that's how you're appealing to women, is through emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, well, in my particular case, when I got scammed, it had nothing to do with relationships or anything. It was over lightsabers, of course. But
no, 1,000 lightsabers for $60.
Yeah, supposedly I was just paying shipping. I don't want to get into it. But the point of the matter is, the guy got me on an emotional sense, and I worry that with all the technology that's advancing, fuck, there's probably AI bots that are scamming right now that look like real chicks. Because, okay, so here's the thing.
Oh, yeah, I've gotten that a lot, actually.
Most of the scams that I have seen on TV, or when they talk to people, or, the families try to do interventions, most of the time it's been internet online, and maybe they'll send 1 or 2 pictures, but they don't have video conversations. Maybe it's a lot of texting back and forth, but no actual phone conversations. We're getting to the point now where AIs look like a real damn person, and can have a conversation with you, and no human being is even attached to that. I can't imagine how much these scammers can use that angle.
It's always based off of emotion, whether it's lust, fear, concern, worry, dread, whatever you want to do it, right?
Right.
Every scam's always been driven on emotion. Usually it's preying off of people's fear.
Right.
Catfishing is preying off of people's desire to be loved. So
yes,
it's just
What's
it is.
the wrong thing?
Yeah, so it is an emotion driven thing, and it's always the thing is, I wrote huge ass paper on this with technology and bank stuff like that. Is you don't go after technology, you go after people.
Right.
Especially in banks. It's phishing. You fish for people. You're gonna get the emotional response using technology to get people to do it.
Yeah, so Van, you had some questions for me. I'm sorry, I was trying to get the stupid browser to work. It's being a
Oh, well, I would love a woman's perspective on this. We've heard from 2 married guys and a dude that hasn't dated in 20 years. So I would like to hear a perspective of somebody who is actually younger and attractive and probably has potentials at dating. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, your priority.
Right. No, this happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, do you just get? And see, that's the other thing, right? Like chicks get dick pics, just random dick pics, which I've never fucking understood.
I got catfished about, I was 12 or 13. I got catfished.
Really?
What?
Yep.
And it was like an older dude or something, or?
Oh, it got really bad. No, it was not good. It was my sister and myself both, and it was the same guy. And he was pretending to be 3 different people, actually.
Gross.
It was really disgusting. And
was it somebody you knew in real life?
No. I mean, I had that happen to me too, but no. It was it was just the online predator, and I got those all the time. Actually, when I would go on AOL and such, I got them often.
Wow.
I mean, AOL chat rooms was bad for that.
Does what?
AOL chat rooms was bad for that. Let's face it.
Yeah, AOL chat rooms were bad for that, and there were a lot of people trolling those chat rooms just because. I mean,
there were literal hate rooms.
I mean, I loved the chat room aspect of the atmosphere of it. I thought it was great. I liked meeting people. I liked talking to different people. Well, I mean, I even liked because I spoke like I was older, so I could have really interesting, deep conversations with adults, not other adults, but with adults.
See, I never got into the chat rooms. I didn't know about this whole, all these.
I was really into the whole chat room aspect. I mean, I was a role player, so I did a lot of role playing in the chat rooms.
Absolutely.
You had to. Yeah. Jeez Louise.
So Aubrey,
this is. I mean, you just got to be really careful about it. And in this dating day and age, I mean, I get literally messaged multiple times a day by men. So
wow,
it's a thing.
So how do you think we can stop catfishing, if at all? Do you think just education and teaching people what to look for?
Actually, education.
I mean, what red flags do you have that come up immediately for you? So I'm not in that scene, so I don't know.
Different ways that they do it. I get the spamming thing of like, hi, my name is this, and I think you're adorable. Come to my site. There's that stuff, and that's just normal bot stuff. Right. But a lot of times I'll get guys that will be like, hey, you look like a model. Like, thanks, dude, I'm a model. Where are you at? Where are you from? Like, says on my on Facebook even says on my profile. Hi, what are you doing?
Answering you. What the hell?
Thanks.
But okay. In all of those, and of course, obviously, the longer you pull the conversation out, you can see what they're trying to get or whatever. Yeah. But I would say, I mean, couldn't some of that be the day and age that we live in? People use computers, right, to meet people all the time. What if I'm just a shy guy who was like, wow, I really like her music, and I don't know how to approach this person.
They will say, hi, I hope this doesn't come off as creepy or anything, but I really liked your music. It's easy. It's easy to have that type of conversation, but that's not what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Just isn't. Just not something that happens, and it is creepy. I mean, you could get that with even people you know. Weirdly enough, like I know people in person that are nice people.
Yeah.
You get them online, and they're like completely different.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had to block a few people that I have met. I mean, and I've done this. And here's the thing too. I've had to do this with even like professional people who say they're professional. Like I had to basically turn down a job because the photographer was being super creepy. He was like, I mean, first it was like, okay, so we had this whole setup, this whole shoot that was supposed to be set up. He canceled last minute, and I was like, hey, and I met this guy in person I met him at a coffee shop so we could talk about it. I had most of my music, he's seen some of my shots, my portfolio, whatever. And like it like evolved into creepiness. He tried to convince me to go and have dinner and wine with him afterwards, and I said, I'm not going to do that. Like, this is a professional thing. And then he's like, oh, you're not being a professional. It's like, because at first we were not going to meet in his studio first. It was going to be an outside place, just until, because I don't know who he is. I don't know his reputation. I don't know any of that.
Right.
There's not a lot online for that. So then it was, oh, well, you should come to my studio. And, even though we didn't make it to the first shoot, why don't you just come to my studio? And I was like, okay. And then it was the lingerie shots. And it was like, and you should have wine and you should have dinner with me afterwards. And so it's a very slow step. I think the big thing is that, I think people just need to be, one, upfront. Is what they want. And to be honest. Especially with women, like you be honest with them. Hey, you still might get shot down, but at least you're not creepy. And I think men need to be taught that. Really, I think men honestly need to be taught about what is creepy and what is not, and how to talk to women, and how to not even just how to talk to women, but how not to be creepy to women, because they come off as creepy all the time.
And see, and here's the only thing that
my Facebook stuff, but I get messages all the time, from men.
Here's my thing, and God, this is so hard because I know that there's a lot of just gross jerk assholes that are out there, and in no way, shape, or form am I defending them. But the flip side of that, especially being with Kyber Cave and knowing that the diversity, the neurodiversity of people that we have kind of, within our crew. I'm not going to bring up any specific name because people in this group know this person, but there is a particular person who a lot of times I've been told by other people that he kind of creeps them out because he'll meet somebody and the first thing he'll ask is, can we be friends? Can you give you a hug? To brand new people that he doesn't really know. Now, knowing this person, I know they're not a creeper, but
that's not
they've never been taught socially that, by telling somebody that you just met, I want to be friends, or asking for a hug from somebody you just met may come off as socially awkward.
I think it's about reading the room and reading a person. If a person looks like they're uncomfortable, there are signals for that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I don't blame him for having the social awkwardness for that. I get it. I mean, it's okay to ask for hugs. It's not okay when you get refused a hug to be like, oh, that person just doesn't, whatever, and like react badly.
She's a fucking lesbian.
Right. Right. That's going through that kind of extreme wave. And that is usually what happens. I keep saying this to Forrest. I've said this to Forrest, and I'm going to say it to everyone else. Men are afraid of being laughed at by women. Women are afraid to be killed by men. Say that again. I'm going to say it again because this is true.
For everybody in the back.
Men are afraid of being laughed at by women. Women are afraid of being killed by men.
Now, I'm going to take that one step further, Van. It's for that reason right there. I fear for my daughter, because I don't want to lose my daughter.
And it
Yeah,
really
no,
should
it's
be now it should be, and it should be put to that point of like that women should, that should not be the case. It should be equal for men and women to go out safely and have a safe time. But that
right.
doesn't happen.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. You know, it's the way of the world. There are a lot of gross, sick
It is, and it's
people
the only way
out
we can
there.
change it. It is, and the only way we can change it is to teach, men, unfortunately, teach boys what is appropriate and what isn't. And certain things just are not, and they've never been acceptable. But because men have had that power, they like it's just something that's ingrained that this is how it is, and it needs to change,
And
and it's changing. I'm not saying it isn't changing,
right, and
but
this
the
was
awareness is
why
getting better.
at that point right there exactly specifically was why I had brought up to Graveyard and Fours earlier about saying using the comment especially my girl instead of both of my kids because for example when I was a preschool teacher every teacher has like the one thing that they really want to impart with their kids, right?
Right.
With me it was always to get permission to be touched.
Mhm.
One of the things that we used to do at our school that I've even had other parents tell me that I was an idiot for doing it, but it was something that was part of our school philosophy and it was very important to me. Even when I was working in the infant room, when I would pick up a 6-year-old baby who's sitting there playing with, or not 6-year-old, a 6-month-old baby who's sitting there on their belly playing with their toys or whatever, if I came up to that baby and they had a smelly diaper, we were taught you don't just pick up that baby and go put him on the board and change the diaper. Even at 6 months old, when that child cannot respond back to you, you say to that child, "Ooh, you smell stinky. Can I help you with that?" And then
That's
you
an open
pick up
line of communication.
That's open line.
It teaches communication from an early age, even
right.
if they
It's
don't
teaching
understand
that
it.
child that they need to give permission to be touched.
Because,
People don't just
Yeah.
have the right to come up and touch you, and even though they're helping you, right, to change in
right.
your poopy diaper, they don't have the right to just come up and touch you and do that. They have to ask permission before touching you.
Yeah, I see
And
that.
so
Yeah.
with me and my kids, whether it was a girl or whether it was a boy, it was equally important to me that both of them
Sorry, buddy.
learn
Yeah.
that same exact issue, because it's not always about what I should and shouldn't do, but it can also be about what I should and shouldn't expect from people. Like people
Right.
can't disrespect me, and I should not allow people to disrespect me because they feel like they can.
Right.
So that was why, like, I feel like the education has to be equal
Yeah.
across,
I agree.
Yeah.
across both sides. In fact, I had thought about, I wanted to do, I don't know if I was going to do a skit or if I was going to actually like try to go out and videotape this and try to start a controversy.
Mhm.
But the next time a regular movie just came out that just showed like a regular mom and dad, I wanted to start a woke protest. Like, you can't show heterosexuals holding hands. You're trying to influence me.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Well,
But
I
the
mean,
whole point of the
I
matter is,
understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
yeah.
a lot of people in the woke agenda say that normal things that gay people do are somehow trying to push an agenda. And so
They
I
do.
wanted to do the opposite. Normal things that heterosexual people do, like starting that as a big fucking fire.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we're close to time, but does it ever make you angry enough to want to throw chairs at people on stage?
Ooh.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, segue.
This will be a short segue. Honestly, we'll be able to beat this one into the ground within 20 minutes, so there's no problem.
Yeah.
Jerry fucking Springer died. What do you guys think about
Ah.
that?
He was 79. I did not know he was
He
79.
did not look
I
something.
honestly thought he was in his late 50s, early 60s. I really did.
I
He's
thought
been
he
in
was
like his
older. I
50s
thought
for
he was
like the last
older.
30 years.
I mean, yeah, he looked the same for the last 30 years, legitimately.
Right.
So it's really interesting. I don't know if you watched Jerry Springer growing up. I mean, I caught a couple episodes. They always seemed really wacky. I
Right.
actually was a Maury fan myself, and Montel. I liked both of them
You
better.
are the father.
Yeah, that was before Maury just became that. You are the father, though. He actually legitimately used to tackle really hard questions and really hard subjects, and that it just
when Jerry Springer started off, his show was much more Oprah-like
yeah.
than it was like devolving into people beating each other up on stage.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I gotta ask, is how much of it do you think was real, and how much was publicity? Or
Oh, I think a lot of it was publicity. I think a lot of it was staged.
stage. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. When it got to be that level, I mean, I think Jerry Springer, even the movie The Ringleader,
Mhm.
which is about Jerry Springer and all of that stuff. I mean, some of it is obviously staged, and some of it isn't. And he was just like, "Why me?"
Yeah.
It's a really funny movie, and it was kind of really showed about how reality TV is really kind of made.
Mhm.
I mean, some of it, you legitimately had these people that were absolutely nuts. I mean, nuts, quote unquote nuts, but had their own personal problems and having a little bit of that. But I think there was a lot more of it was staged for money. People would make their issues bigger just for it.
Right.
So it's reality TV, meaning it's reality. It's edited and contrived TV.
So
I mean, we even Dr. Phil's that way too, and people have come and said, yeah, they've tried to make some of the things I was dealing with worse or this worse, or they didn't ask my opinion on this.
Right. I think sometimes too, it's not necessarily fake, but it is led by producers. Like producers are definitely trying to lead people in a position. Oh, she said this about you, so that you'll go out there and start throwing hands when you get on stage.
So to me, I may be in the minority of this. This is a precursor to the social media TikTok phase that we have now?
Yeah, I would say it's true.
I would say a percentage, yes.
Percentage, yeah. I think it's a mix of a lot of different things for that. Yes.
Because I think this was a way to, even if you had a small problem, is that as you're saying, the producers wanted you to be more physical, to put on more of a show. And while the topic may be true, everything that comes of it is staged. And it's a way to, I think people use it as a way to get on TV, to get known for something, to become the attention whores that we have today with TikTok.
Yes, I would say that is definitely true. I would definitely say that is a big factor of it.
And as Aubrey pointed out, that you guys pointed out that Jerry was a legit talk show that had hard-hitting issues, and
at one point,
I think it was the early 90s. Yeah,
right. And then all of a sudden we hit the mid 90s, and it all became the circus, the media circus.
Right?
Yeah, I think it was when not Jersey Shore, but the Real World.
Yeah,
when that reality TV really hit.
Yeah.
That all of that really devolved.
And I think what it was, at least in the case of Jerry Springer, is they figured out what worked, right? The episodes where people were throwing chairs at each other, when they would get much higher numbers than the shows where people just sitting there having the civil conversation, then they just said, fuck it, let's just turn all the episodes into
that. And that's where I think that's why I think some of them were legitimately these people did have actual issues and were trying. I mean, that's often why you have, Dr. Phil now, majority of out of control teenagers, because that stuff, people watch it for
sells, right?
Some weird reason. The only person I think that didn't really go away from that, besides Oprah Winfrey, was Montel. Montel actually kept it classy even to the end.
Yeah.
Right.
And
but nobody talks about Montel anymore.
No. Well, yeah, because he died. He died of testicular cancer.
Who here remembers what Jerry Springer did as a profession before he was a talk show host and how he lost his job?
Oh, I can't remember what it was now.
I don't know.
I thought he was a really smart man.
He was a very smart man.
Yeah.
He had a particular job.
What was it? Man,
Was he an attorney?
He was. I don't remember if he was a congressman or
Yeah,
an
he's a politician.
assemblyman.
He's a politician.
He was a
Politician.
politician.
Yeah.
But do you remember what the scandal was that lost him his job?
I don't know. I don't think I was old enough.
He paid a prostitute with the check.
Oh my!
With a check?
With a check.
The scandal, the horror. Wow, I did not know that. I had no idea that was what it was. But that's what he did before. I think I was just too young. Was this in the 80s?
Right. Yeah, this was before the Jerry Springer show.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah, so this must have been the 80s.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of people don't remember that was he was a politician.
That's probably why he even started the show, was be like, hey, this is what happened to me, and this is why it's a.
Well, I even, like, do you guys remember there was the Steve Wilco show as well?
Yeah.
I don't know the Steve Wilco show.
Steve was the bald
Steve was the
bodyguard.
bouncer.
Steve the bouncer that came out when Stop broke people up. So he had his own show and here's how I'll say what these shows remind me of. It reminds me of the backstage interviews at wrestling events.
I'll hand you that. I'll hand that to you. Yeah.
So I mean, it became, you know, we're talking about the legacy and stuff like that. It became what he became famous for. And as you guys said, you know, Montel didn't do that. I don't know if Ricky Lake dived into that, ever went there either.
I don't
Yeah,
think
there was
really
Ricky Lake.
about the same
There was
way.
what was that? There was a blonde chick too. What was her name? Samantha or something? Or
Samantha Bee?
no, not Samantha B. There was Ricky Lake. There was a blonde woman.
No idea.
There was Gabriella.
I don't remember Gabriella.
I
Jenny Jones.
Jenny Jones.
Oh,
Thank you.
Jenny Jones.
That's who it was. Jenny Jones. Phil Donahue was the first one that kind of started the whole, the whole thing. But that was
Sally
definitely-
Jesse Raphael. Thank
Oh,
you,
Sally.
with the glasses.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that one.
Mr. Adams, please stop calling. We don't know where they meet.
I don't know this. I don't know this person.
Oh God.
She had red hair, glasses.
Yeah, she
Always
always had
wore, like,
brightly colored glasses on.
I think she always wore like the power plaid suit.
Oh, that's fun. Hey, Plaid is awesome. I like Plaid. I don't know this. I mean, my TV watching experience is so limited. So, I mean,
It's always at the doctor's office. Always on
That's
during the
funny.
day.
Right.
that's funny.
You know, we still have Dr. Phil, we have Dr. Oz, and is it any different now than it was then?
Dr. Oz.
What do you guys think? Do you think it stayed the same over the past 30 years?
I think the formula is the same, but the generational gap is there. The subject matter changes a little bit. Dr. Oz, he started heavy into the medical field. Now his material is a little more holistic
and more pseudoscience. Because a lot of the stuff that he has, but especially recently, in the last 5-10 years, has actually can be quite dangerous.
Well, and then
less and less actual science.
For a lot
even
of us,
holistic is science, huh?
And John Oliver pointed out on Last Week Tonight that the paid content, that the ads or the segments they have are paid content. They're paid programming. It is marketing inside the show itself. So we're still selling crap to the masses.
Yeah,
we really are.
Absolutely, we are.
Yeah.
And so that is, I mean, and that, I don't think Jerry Springer I don't think he went into the talk show host with that in mind. I don't think that was his intent. And I think it kind of just got away from him.
Yeah, but as he became more wealthy in the show, he found that he was an entertainer.
Yeah.
Jerry was an
entertainer. He was good at it.
And what's really great about it is that he didn't even have to do a lot of the entertaining. He just hosted it, and a lot of his witty quips and whatnot came from the stuff that happened on the screen, and he became quite witty.
He was quite witty. He did get quite witty. He was, a lot of that stuff was not scripted. As far as I know, a lot of his quips during the show were mostly ad-libs. So,
back in Florida.
Okay, so let me ask you, do you guys think the Jerry Springer show and Jerry Springer in general was a positive contribution to society?
No, I think it was a contributor to how things currently are, because there is actually a new Facebook short, or excuse me, there is a YouTube short trend and TikTok trend now, which is doing literally the polar opposite of what Jerry Springer has been doing. Rather than trying to get people to attack each other on screen, you have a lot of these podcasters who are bringing on men and women who have real significant differences and have them literally go at each other over the mic with real world problems. And they explain from their points of view, you know, why men are this way, why women are this way. And then they get the opportunity to ask each other, well, why do you believe this? And many times it goes back to, that's what my mom or that's what my dad taught me, you know, or this is what I'm learning from my professor. Like, there's a lot more open-ended real world issues being discussed among people in their early to late 20s as kind of a, I'm not going to say it's a flip flop, actually.
It depends on where you go, what you look at. I mean, there are people like that. There also is the toxic media that's out there too.
Absolutely.
Of, you know, guys who preach or whatever, you know, that really toxic shit. And there's girls that preach toxic shit. And there's all of that too. I think it's just more allowable now because of the fanfare of Jerry Springer.
Yes.
I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm not saying that was his intent.
It's just the way it's how the cards fell.
It was just the way that that was the money. Follow the money. Follow the money. And that's what and I think at even points he was like, I just want a legitimate show. Why isn't why? I think that was partially it.
And I'm willing to bet he had producers tell him, dude, you need to trust the process. This is how the ratings work. We're making money. You're making money. Your staff is making money. And look, your cast is making money.
Because you are one of the most watched now talk show hosts in America, in the world.
And I'll tell you, and I was going to tell you a minute ago, back in Florida, in my neighborhood, we had a saying for it. Jerry was the king of trailer trash TV.
Yep.
There you go. I mean, that was something that we talked about here too. He was
right, and you know, it's a really difficult one for me because I equate Jerry Springer. Like, to me, Jerry Springer is very much like I don't know, like a Nicki Minaj, right? Very consumable for the now type of media, but not something that's going to be life-changing. It's not like a Pink Floyd album that you're going to listen to 30 years from now.
No, it's junk food. It's junk food.
It's junk food. Jerry Springer was junk food for television. Yes. So my question is,
like junk food.
Is there a place for Jerry Springer?
Is there or was there?
Both.
Yes, I think there still is. Because unfortunately, we still have shitty, uneducated people in this world. I mean, not trying to be dick. I'm like, legitimately, I mean, we see bits of that even from, as I said, even, you know, a prestigious show like Dr. Phil. There is still that element of people are being outrageous and.
But the thing is that we're looking at it from the worst common denominator, right? Like, the reason those shows were so popular, and I'll be the first to admit it, I did the same exact thing. I would watch those shows and go, God, thank God my life isn't that fucked.
Yes. People like the train wreck. People like watching it. I mean,
I got it pretty good.
Let's be honest here. I mean, people honestly really just love watching that train wreck. And I can't say when I'm watching a terrible movie that I'm not also watching the train wreck, or I'm watching a terrible show, watching these people. I'm not also, you know, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a train wreck. People, there's a reason why you have the term rubbernecking. People like to watch wrecks.
Because I think about, especially at that time period, right? Because we're talking about the late 80s, early 90s. That time period, you had a lot of controversy and a lot of like, oh, these video games are fucking up our kids, and it's all these violent video games' fault. But my argument was, I could turn my TV on at 9 a.m. and watch two grown people punching it out and another chick ripping the top off another woman on Jerry Springer. So you can't tell me that all the violence is coming from video games.
It's not. It's
How
just that's just an easier thing.
It's how
easier
the
medium to attack.
She's right, and the media was very good at spinning it that way.
Yep.
I mean, here's the thing, and I think I've talked about this before, but when I did my research about gun violence, it has been proven, and in fact, studies have shown over and over again, violent video games do not perpetrate more violence. What they actually do is they give a medium for people to act out what they are feeling.
Right.
And usually that stems violence towards other people. I mean, it only holds off for so long. And generally this has to do with people that have become to that point where the anger is overflowing, or they already have a mental disability.
Right.
They already have like ASPD, or they've got, another cluster B personality disorder, or they have, severe trauma, or whatever it is that is already affecting them. But generally, people do not have the proponent for violence, even if they play violent video games. However, any type of media that is consumed over time can be seen as normalized behavior.
So, you know what, man, this might even be a really good topic on its own for a KCAD.
Yes, it could. But this is more about, I think that people are dumber because of shows like Jerry Springer? Yes. Yes, I do. I do think that if you consume junk food, you're going to be on that junk food diet. You just are. Is it fun to watch every once in a while? Yeah, but did I feel my brain cells dying a bit? Yeah.
Well, so I want to go back just a little bit to what you were talking about video games, and where people being able to act out the violence actually kind of goes the opposite direction. Doesn't make you more violent, it makes you less violent. Question I have, and this is what I was thinking might be a good topic for another show. The value of violence, right? Like, okay, so I'm thinking specifically of Eminem's song Stan, where he writes about, the fan that, basically kills.
Yeah.
Right. And then there was also the other song, Kim, which was a song about murdering his ex-wife.
Now, one
as
an outlet. Yeah.
As an artist, I could see that by maybe if this, this chick is pissing me off, by making a song or getting my artistic energy out there, about wanting to kill this bitch, might prevent me from actually wanting to kill her. But the flip side of that is now you've put out this piece of art that other people may listen to and actually be influenced by, thinking it's the right way. So is it wrong for him to have put out that song?
No, it's not. I don't think that artistic freedom, artistic expression should be censored for that. I don't think it should. I think that we need to teach better ways of coping. He's acting out in a healthy way. He's acting out by writing a song. He's acting out, so he's not perpetrating that violence to him. He's talking about the influence he has, the awareness that can affect someone else who does not have that creative outlet, such as Stan. And that's the people we really should be helping, are these people that feel like they are in that place. But we cannot blame the artist for that person's actions. We can't.
And truthfully, and this is just my take on it, agree, disagree, I don't give a shit. I honestly believe when it comes to things with messages so extreme, there does need to be better disclaimers.
I agree with that.
There needs to be a clear message. Okay, so
I'm not condoning violence. This is just an outlet.
For example, back home, I don't know if you guys know this, but Clear Channel Radio was bought out by iHeartRadio. At the beginning of every program that iHeartRadio is on, they always put the disclaimer up. Any and all opinions you hear are the reflection of the show hosts and its guests, not of iHeartRadio or its associates. That must be in black and freaking white. I understand that back in the day they started to put the parental guidance, don't buy this album unless you're 18. It needed a better, it just needed to be it needed to be communicated better. Right. This album contains thoughts that are the opinions of the artist. This is not a message that condones violence or condones rape or condones robbery.
This is just an artistic expression. It is not trying to
Disclaimers need to be better.
Right.
that could be its own
It-
thing about disclaimers.
It's part of the reason we put this up every week. We are not affiliated with Disney or Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
You're right. We're not.
And this is an 18 plus show, and my son, who's 17, watches it, and I allow that because I know he's not going to take what we say and go do something dumb with it. Love you, son.
And I think, well, I mean, and let's be honest here, like we're not condoning violence. We're not condoning. We're talking about these hardening issues. It's not devolving.
No,
it's not devolving. Even if we get mad at each other, we're not
going to throw chairs at one another.
Right.
So.
Graveyard, what's your take on all of this? Do you think there's a place for Jerry Springer in society or those types of shows?
To your point, I mean, if we wanted to get all tinfoil hatty, we could. But you're right. You said you watched it, Van. You go, my life isn't so bad because of their life, right?
Right.
Is there a place for it? Will it be something there to fill this void? Absolutely. People are always going to want to see that they're better than someone else. To have that feeling that my life isn't so bad. Do they want to see the drama? Do they want to see the violence? Absolutely. It sells. It's always going to be a thing, and it's always been a thing in human society. Regardless of anything, this is just the next natural progression of that. Do I think this instills people to do stupid shit? Yes. They're going to do it anyway, though. Hands down.
I almost
they're just seeking a platform to do it with. I mean, in some ways, it's good and bad, negative. I think it's got good and negative consequences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this is I don't know if this is going too far or stretching too far out on a limb, but this is kind of going back to discussions we had earlier with catfishing. Okay, so you're telling me that as human beings, we enjoy kind of the freak show, right? It makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yes.
And until that's just a part of who we are, right? So we're not going to be able to change that. Is that similar to, say, catfishing, where there's just going to be people that are just going to send fucking dick pics? That's just how it is. And it doesn't matter how much counseling or, how many of their friends tell them it's
people
wrong.
should be labeled as they are, being predators, and should be punished as such.
Right. And you're not on a limb here. And as somebody very, very, very wise once told me, sometimes people just are trying to get their dick wet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Gee, I wonder who said
that was
it.
mine. You referring to something I said. Sometimes people just want to get their dick wet.
No, the people are always going to exist. It's just, and unfortunately, I don't think it's a problem that we can ever get rid of. There's always people are going to be assholes.
Spot on.
The only way that we, I would say, the only way that we have a chance of doing that is just I can't even read that. The only way we could do that is trying to take what we have on the thing of like the opposite side of that is just putting out more thoughtful content as well. Because that can also often counterbalance it.
Yes.
People are often bored. They just want to see something entertaining and good.
And sometimes revolution is a good thing. It is. These TikTokers who are putting out this stuff of tackling real world issues and talking to people about mutual respect, it is making a difference. How much? I couldn't tell you, dude. But I'm happy that it's out there, and I am glad there are folks out there who are standing up for the right thing. I feel like in many ways this show stands up for the right thing because we talk about this stuff seriously.
Right. And we don't always agree with each other. We at least try to find that middle ground so that it comes to at least a constructive conversation.
Yes.
Right. And that's what's really important. I can't stress that enough the things that what Jerry Springer, the Jerry Springers of the world that showed us, anything can devolve. And the only way to stop it from devolving is to
Be constructive.
Be constructive.
Right. There's a comment over here from CMMZ. Years ago, talked to someone in my martial arts school, and he said TV shows didn't really cause violence. We all grew up watching G.I. Joe and other stuff, but we're not going out there and shooting people. Can I just point out, though, in G.I. Joe in particular, all the Cobras ejected from their planes. You never actually saw anybody get killed or shot on G.I. Joe. I'm just fucking.
Well,
but that is the
same
truth.
thing where, when the claws come out with Wolverine, some buildings are going to get tore up. But in the sense of killing anybody, no.
Right.
The thing is that with a lot of these shows that are showing violence, they're not showing unnecessary or needless violence.
Well, here you
A
go.
lot of times.
World Wars before TV, 2. World Wars after TV, 0.
I mean, we still have a lot of wars happening.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't really matter. We've always killed people. We're always going to continue to do it.
That has always been my argument when people talk about video games being, the reason why we have so much violence. Because I don't remember them having video games in the Roman Empire.
Hey,
no, but the reason why most violence is caused is because people are bullies to each other. People are mean.
Right.
People are not kind, especially at that children age. Bullies are a real issue, and that was my whole thesis, was that it wasn't actually video games causing violence. It's violence in schools. You're seeing that violence happening to you. You're seeing the kid that gets bullied every day, and he or she feels like no one is there to stand up for them. The teachers turn a blind eye, and then he gets punished for acting out. I mean, that happens all the time. And that was something that was legitimately that happened. And when I wrote this was on the advent of the Columbine shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And did the two, Dylan and
yeah, I don't
oh my
remember
God,
the kid's name. Dylan something.
Playbold. It was anyway, the two, we know who they are.
Yeah.
But the two of them had like documented cases of bullying from little kids. One of them, I believe it was Dylan. Wasn't Dylan, it was the other one, Playbold. It was that guy. He did have signs of ASPD. He did.
What's ASPD?
Antisocial personality disorder. And due to his home life was really bad, and also the bullying that he did experience from an early age, but among other things. But they show that the reason why they did not go and shoot up a school sooner often was because they played video games and got a lot of that aggression and violence out.
Right.
Do I still think that firearms are the problem? Yes, absolutely. But it is interesting that you look at all of that and you look at the bullying that did happen in the schools at that time and how it went unnoticed until people popped. Right. So I do think that bullying is something that needs to be curbed much more. And now it's in our homes, because now it's cyberbullying.
Yeah.
So, and that is a really legitimate problem. The same with the catfishing. I was catfished by someone in my school who was a bully, and he bullied me online.
Right. So
that's a very interesting, while pretending to be my other friend.
Right.
So that is an issue. Bullying's an issue. I think the big thing here is that, yes, we could have our junk food shows of like Jerry Springer, but we really need to teach each other how to think deeper and to be nicer to each other. Kids to be nicer to each other.
Right.
And with that, pluggables.
Yeah.
On that note,
I was gonna say that is a good place to leave it. CMMZ says bullies at times are caused by lazy students. They tend to act out and interrupt the class as well. Teachers are lacking a lot of the support they need in many schools.
Yes, I agree. With that.
Is very, very
true. A whole other topic, though.
A whole other topic. But yeah, I agree. I do agree that they are often overwhelmed.
Next week, education and violence are our topics. All right, we got those wrapped up. We've got next week's topics.
Be good
Just letting
topic.
us know.
They would be good topics.
Put it in the chat, somebody.
Put it in the chat.
Where the hell is everyone tonight? Where's Anthony? Where's Mezzo? Where is everyone?
Well,
Anthony's got his shows.
rehearsal. His family brother.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so I assume Anthony's got his show until the show.
Yeah.
But tomorrow night, if you guys are free, other than like Graveyard, who isn't around here, we'll fly him out for tomorrow night. You guys want to do something? I'm at a con until 5 in Vacaville tomorrow.
Okay.
It is a toy fair. If you guys are bored and want to come out, you're more than welcome to come hang out with me.
We're gonna go and see Anthony before he's off work, because he has to go to rehearsal after that, I believe.
Oh, nice.
So, but we're gonna go and visit with him because he hasn't really got to spend a lot of time with this guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you guys wanted to do something tomorrow night or hang
That'd be
out,
awesome.
or go to a movie or something. I know Jedi is out right now. Not that nobody here's ever seen it. Yeah.
What wars?
Right.
What is Star Wars? I don't know. It's that one show.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with our outros here. We're going to start with Mr. Graveyard.
Yes, so I am Graveyard, co-host of the Mostly Pod Out at Night, Mostly podcast. We release new podcast episodes every Wednesday. Make sure to check that out. You can follow us on social media at Pod Out at Night. On top of that, you can find me 4 days a week here at Kyber Cave Productions. Mondays, Retro Alcove. Thursday, Gaming Live, Kyber Cave for Dark, and Saturday morning, Nerd Out. That's our next show tomorrow morning. Make sure to check that out. On top of that, you can find me on Thursdays doing brackets with some really awesome people over here at Distance Nerding. So yeah, make sure to check that out as well. Great stuff. I'm always interested. Love the shows. On top of that, we always like to thank you, cavers, dwellers, and splunkers for joining us. And you want to talk nerd to us, join our Discord. Please, we want to talk nerd to you. We want to have a bigger community there. Make sure to check it out because we want to start having theories, interviews, polls, stuff like that to help you guys build the community, help make our shows even better. So make sure to check us out on there as well.
Woohoo! All right, I love it. Okay, next up.
Graveyard, when you put the plug in, I have nothing to add to that. Maybe you'll be on a 5th show, but that remains to be seen. Yeah, him and Mr. Force here are also going to be on the new order that we have been working on. But yeah, I'm Aubrey, aka Mrs. Ford, and also Captain Lady Moon, or the Captain, as everyone's been calling me. And I am here, I think almost 5 days a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's about 5 days a week. I usually am doing games with Mezzo. Sometimes I'm on Retro Alcove. We need to get back to that.
Thursday night.
I'm on Thursday Night Live, Friday night, Saturday,
Hearts of Kyber.
And Hearts of Kyber right now. And also we'll be doing the new order soon. So yeah, I'm here. This is my thing at the moment. And we also do recordings every once in a while.
We're getting back to it.
We're getting back to it. Don't worry, it's coming. But
Simon says the new order sounds like Daisy Ridley's new trilogy.
Really? Interesting. Well, I made it first, so whatever. Anyway, so you can find me there. I'm also a musician and a composer and an actress. You can look up my stuff on IMDb. It's not that great. It's all indie stuff.
It's fantastic. Buy your lightsaber.
I'm all right. I have a couple songs under the band name BYL, and I also have an album that I put out. I'm working on putting out another one soon for new stuff to come out. So yeah, that's what I've got. And
excellent.
To you, Mr. Forrest.
Hello, Mr. Forrest.
And I would like to encourage everybody to go to kybercave.com to purchase yourself a lightsaber. And when you do, go to saberfont, FONT.com to get yourself a sound font by me, Fours FX Saber Sound Designs. You could also find me over at the channel Distance Nerding on the build for the first hour and a half on Tuesdays, and probably going to be starting the last hour and a half on Thursdays. Back here on Kyber Cave Productions, she and I do pre-recorded stuff. We're finishing Last of Us, going into Last of Us 2. I host one called Two Queens and a Fours.
Oh yeah, we did that one.
And I'm also the host of the Thursday night live gaming for Kyber Cave Gaming. You'll find me here on Friday nights, and for however long I can be on it, I will be on Saturday morning as well. So, yeah, I'm everywhere.
Wherever.
Oh my God, you guys! Everybody here is making me feel like a slacker on my own
You're
channel.
not a slacker.
I only do 3 shows, man. Oh, you lazy buns. Man,
It's your laugh. Your laugh is everywhere. Fine.
It's contagious. I am Arc Excala. Just like our friend Forrest said, make sure to check out kybercave.com. We're coming up on our last couple of days of our 20% off sale. And keep in mind that not only do you get 20% off, but an additional 20% goes towards wheelchair and or wheelchair parts for our boy Jon, who has been in desperate need. You know what? It's not always my fault, Say Wong. I was actually here early tonight. I was the first one here.
We actually signed in at 8:45, and
that's how long we've been working on.
And that's how long I've been working on getting my video and mic working on my computer. I do not know why it's doing that. I have I've reset everything on my computer. So went and tried to do everything. So troubleshooting is going to have to happen because this cannot stand.
Yep.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Say Wong is the unofficial 7th host of Kyber Cave After Dark. He said, you can see me here every show criticizing Van's lateness, even on shows that I'm not even on.
He has said that before too. Yeah. Say Wong,
hey, Say Wong, if you want to hang out tomorrow night, I think we're trying to get together a little group thing and go do something.
I would love to get together because I have missed out on every get together that we have had.
I know. I want to do the escape room thing. I just think that's fun. I know Mez said that the only way we can tape it is on one that they're phasing out, though. So yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to tape it, but I definitely think it would be fun to
that'd be awesome
to get together and do an activity together.
We need to do that before he leaves.
Oh, Say Wong says he's down.
2 days.
In 2 days.
In 2 days, holy shit! Well, let's plan on
doing time flies, right?
Say Wong, message me first. Say Wong, I'm going to be at the toy show in Vacaville at the Vacaville Airport tomorrow from 1 to 5. But as soon as I get done with that, I want to go see some movie or do some activity.
That would be awesome. That'd be fun. I think that'd be great. We'll keep in touch. We'll do the texty stuff.
We'll all text about that. All right. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in here tonight. Say Wong and everybody else. Tonight has definitely been an interesting discussion. Sometimes we go short, like a topic will only last 20 minutes because we don't have a lot to say. But that catfishing one, man, that one ran an hour. Well, actually the first 15 minutes me and Graveyard were just bullshitting anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it was not due to lack of trying. I don't know why it's blocking my mic and my.
We'll figure it out after this. Don't worry.
Okay. That's good because I can't have that.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure to check out this show that you guys may have heard of.
It's a damn
night.
It's a damn sexy shirt you got there.
Mostly, I'd say so. Yeah. I was telling Graveyard, one of my students asked if that was me. I was like, no.
That's funny.
Not everybody has glasses and has a beard as the same person. All right, y'all. Please make sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for the Saturday morning Nerd Out. That is a very fun time. If you happen to be in the Vacaville area, come hang out with Kyber Cave at the military toy show at the Small Nut Tree Airport in Vacaville tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 5. But aside that, and I wanted to say Sunday, we have a special guest on Saber Rattle that is a personal friend of this show, is dedicated to our boy Force, because this is a personal friend of Force. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. And I've instructed that person to not tell you who they are either. Nice. So you just have to tune in and see who our special guest is on Sunday night.
Fantastic.
Huh.
Woohoo! All right, you guys. I love you guys all. I will see hopefully some of you tomorrow night. The rest of you we will see online whenever we are here. I want to
All right.
thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to leave on a Jerry.
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 May the fours be with you.
Always. All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.